Hello brave newbies, this is Ariadne Invictus, and I'm here to tell you how to avoid dying to a gate camp. The first thing I want to tell you is that there is no ship that is 100% immune to gate camps. A sufficiently determined and talented camp will always be able to kill you. That said, our goal here is to make that as difficult as possible and to increase your chances of survival as high as we can. The first thing I want to talk about, for those of you who might be new to the game, is what exactly a gate camp is. A gate camp is a group of ships parked around a warp gate that typically employs one of three, or some of all three strategies to trap ships and kill them. The first of these is a warp disruption bubble, which prevents virtually every ship in the game from entering warp. There are exceptions to this rule, and we're going to talk about one of them coming up, but on the whole, a bubble is a very effective means of trapping a ship. The second is insta-locking ships. These are ships fit with things like SIBO boosters that have strong scan strength and are getting boosts from other ships so that they can lock you in as little as a second, scram you, and then kill you. The final tool is smart bombs, and smart bombs present a unique danger because they don't have to be targeted. The smart bombing vessel just has to activate the bomb, and if you pass through the smart bomb's radius, you take the damage. Camps will use combinations of these, bubbles and insta-lockers, bubbles and smart bombs, so on. But they all use some mixture of those three tactics, and all of them will make your life significantly more difficult unless you know how to deal with them. The key to beating them is to fly the right ship, fit the right way, and to follow the best practices you can when warping around null. So let's talk about what the best ship for the job is. Hands down, it's an interceptor, and you can see I've got one up on my screen here. Mine is an Ares. I flew Galent to start with, so it is what it is. The big important thing I would tell you about your interceptor is it doesn't really matter which one you pick so long as it has 4 low slots. That's going to give you more tanking versatility than the others that might have 4 mids or 3 lows. So go for something with 4 low slots, doesn't matter the race. The 3 things that make the interceptor really great for running gate camps are the following. The first is it's relatively low, almost lowest in game align time. If you look at what I've got here on the screen, you'll see it's 2.71. I already have my rigs in, and I'll talk about those in a minute. But 2.71 is pretty good. The next thing is that they're bubble immune, so they can't be warp disruption bubbled. You'll cruise right through them, no problems at all. The final thing is that they have a relatively small base signature radius. You'll see I have this not equipped with anything yet except the rigs, but I'm down at 35 meters. If you don't know much about the game, that's really, really small. And if you don't know what align time is, just for reference, that's the time it takes your ship to go from 0 velocity to the 75% velocity necessary to enter warp. All sorts of things influence that, and I won't get into them too much. Suffice to say, evasive maneuvering can help on this. You want to drive up your agility, keep your ship mass low. All those things will help get your line time down to the minimum. So, what do we need to fit this for it to be the best fit for running gate camps? We need 3 things to be true. It needs to align in less than or equal to 2 seconds, because that's pretty much as good as you can get. It needs to have as small a signature radius as possible so that non-smart bomb weapons apply minimal damage and you're more difficult to lock. And it needs to have the maximum tank so that if you do run through some smart bombs, you don't instantly pop. So what you can see right now on my Ares, I have 2 rigs already installed. One of them is the small low friction nozzle joint, which reduces your align time. And the other is a small Trimark armor pump, which gives me a little more HP and armor. So the first thing I'm going to do is show you what I put in my low slots. And the first is an energized adaptive, pretty standard stuff. Gives me a little bit better resist and armor, and you can already see we're starting to creep up on the EHPs here. The next 2 things I'm going to fit are going to affect my align time. So you can see right now it's 2.71, down to 2.32 with nanofibers, and down to 1.98 with inertia stabilizers. That's your goal, right there. You're done and good. Quick word about these 2 modules. Nanofiber 2s are great in that they don't penalize your signature radius, but they do reduce your hit points overall. Inertia stabilizers, in my opinion, are less great because while they do help out your align time significantly, they cause an increase in signature radius, which makes it easier for people to lock onto you. And again, remember, one of our goals is to keep signature radius as low as possible. The last thing we're going to fit in our low slots is a damage control 2. This is going to bump our HP up even more. So there, just with those 4 things, real basic stuff, just 4 things, we've already driven our HP up almost 1,500, I think, from base, maybe 1,000. So we're off to a really good start. The next thing you're going to fit is an EM ward amplifier, because a lot of ships have holes in their EM shields. As a result, a lot of people use EM smart bombs. We're going to plug that right up. And then we're going to put a thermal dissipation amplifier in there. That'll bump up our thermal resist. And you can see now we've got pretty good resist across the board. This isn't bad at all. The next slot in the mid is kind of a dealer's choice. It depends on whether you think you're going to want to run or whether you think you're just going to want to slug through it. I personally think that you want to go with the shield extender. Look what that does to our hit points. We double them up. We're almost to 7,000. The micro warp drive is not going to be particularly useful against an Insta locker. It will be useful if you want to try getting away, but the ship is already pretty fast, and if you've decided to burn back to the gate, I really don't think you're going to have much luck against that. Much luck doing that against Insta lockers, so avoid it. The downside to the shield extender, of course, is its penalty to shield radius, or signature radius, I'm sorry. You can see that we go from 38 to 46. That's not great. It's still really small by Eve ship standards, but it's not ideal. So it's really up to you how brave you are, which one of these you want to fit. I always take the shield extender because it means I can live through more smart bombs. So this is it. This is the ship. You want to be able to fly this interceptor with the highest skills you can. Evasive maneuvering really helps, and then interceptor skills help a lot too. The other thing I'll say about interceptors is they're not just great for running around nullsec. They're also really in demand in fleets. So if you can upgrade to an interceptor from what you're flying in now, that's great. You'll be a lot more versatile and a lot more valuable in the fleet. Don't fit it like this though. The FC will be very, very angry. So we've covered our what gate camps are. We've covered what the best ships are. We've covered how to fit those ships. And now we're going to touch on a couple of best practices. The first is called bouncing off celestials, and if you've moved to nullsec, you've probably already heard of this, but I'm going to go over it again. When you bounce off a celestial, what you want to do is pick a random object in space. It can be an anomaly, it can be a planet, it can be a moon. And rather than warp directly from gate to gate, you'll warp to that moon or anomaly first, and then to the gate. The reason that you want to do this in most ships is to avoid drag bubbles. That doesn't apply to our interceptor. However, if you warp gate to gate and go straight through an optimally placed gate camp using smart bombs, you're going to take more damage. It's a good habit to be in to bounce off a celestial, and it will minimize the damage you take from smart bombs, so I strongly recommend it. I also recommend avoiding bouncing off the sun, as it's the most common celestial people use, and really smart gate campers will be set up for that. So try for an anomaly, try for a moon, try for something that isn't the sun when you do that. Yes, it will add 1 extra jump to your trip, but you're much less likely to die to a smart bombing gate camp if you do it. The second thing is always, always, always fit a tank. So I'm actually going to take off all my modules here. Can I strip fitting from here? I always forget. Yep. Yes, I do. So I took everything off my ship and I'm down to 2,500 HP. That's a couple of smart bomb volleys. Not much at all. 2 battleships melt right through you. Really poor resist in the shield. Unfortunately, I just stuffed all my things back in the item hanger, which is a little crowded, but we'll try and get it fit back up as quickly as we can here. There's the EM ward. There's the thermal dissipation amplifier. There's the medium shield extender. Inertia stabilizers. Obviously, you should go without saying, wherever and whenever possible, you want to be using Tech 2 variants of all this stuff. Here's my nano. Where is that pesky damage control? You guys can probably see it and you're yelling at me from home. There we go. Nano is on. The energized membrane. Did I scroll by it? No.